Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. The Sheikh preaches and he throws concepts out. He tells you about what's right and what's wrong. He tells you how to look at things, and he tries to give you a perspective as to reality. As these words flow and come out, that's only half of the equation. The other half of the equation is, what are you doing with the words that come out? What happens to them? Where do they go when they hit you? How seriously do you take them? Do you put them in your heart? Do you carry them? Do they become part of your lifestyle? The teacher teaches about Maya. He teaches about illusion. He teaches about truth. He teaches about the elements. He tells you about earth and its propensities, fire and its propensities, water and its propensities, air, ether, all of these things and their propensities. He tells you about light and darkness. He tells you about heaven and hell. He explains all of these things, and he tells you where you should be and what you should be doing and how you should do it. Who is this Sheikh? Who is it that's giving out this information? When the truth comes, where does it come from? The Sheikh tells you about the time of pre-creation, the time when Allah was in meditation. And from that meditation, a voice came to Allah that began to describe to him who he is, began to describe to him the wonder of what he was. And this was known as the Nur. The Nur came from Allah and elucidated for Allah his own reality. The information that comes to the Sheikh comes from the Nur. That same truth that was given since the beginning of time comes to the Sheikh. And this phenomenon has to be understood. And I'll give you an example that maybe will help. Once a translator was sitting in front of my teacher, Bawa Muhaiyaddeen, and the translator said to him, all of these people keep coming in here, and they talk about these visions that they have and these mystical experiences that they have. I don't have any mystical experiences. I don't have any visions. And Bawa turned towards the translator, put his face into her face, and said, you know me, don't you? And this is the reality that we have to understand. The teacher, the true teacher, is a manifest vision that's in front of you. It's not ethereal, it's manifest in Allah's mercy. He has sent manifest examples of truth into the world that speak the truth, that convey the message from the eternal, that convey the message from that which alone is and give it to mankind. To understand this, we have to begin to understand La ilaha illallah. Nothing exists but God. But God created this creation. And we are part of this creation. And within this creation, there is so much that is not eternal, that is temporary, that comes into being and then disappears. But there is also that which is eternal. And we have to understand the nature of the path that goes from that which is not eternal to that which is eternal. And that has to do with what it is you are holding on to, and whether what you are holding on to is reality or illusion. And the more illusion that you hold on to, the less reality that you know and understand. And one of the things that the Sheikh does is he helps people to differentiate between illusion and reality. He helps people to differentiate between the non-essential, the peripheral, the things of no substance, and that which is real and that which lasts forever. Man has to come and grasp this. Man spends a lot of his time involved with himself and thinking about himself. So he thinks about his titles. He thinks about his pride. He thinks about his fame. He thinks about his wealth. He thinks about all of the things that he thinks are part of his life. We believe that this life we're living, the sadnesses and the happinesses, are who we are, that this is a reality, that this life are these happinesses and these sadnesses, and that's what our life consists of. And the Sheikh is here to explain the illusory nature of this kind of thinking. But this thinking is so entwined within humans that it's very difficult to unwrap it and bring people to a state of reality. To bring yourself to the state of reality, you have to find a sheikh. You have to find someone who knows the truth, who tells you the truth, but then you have to believe him. If you don't believe him, all of his words have no meaning. The words, when they connect, have impact. But if you throw a knife at an iron door, the knife bounces back. If you throw a knife at a banana plant, it'll stick. Have we become so enamored with the world? Is our belief system so entrenched with believing the world that no matter what the Sheikh says, that no matter what the words that come out are, we listen to them and we're polite and we nod, and then we go on to doing what we were doing and carry on with what we perceive as our lives. We need to understand a different perception as to our life. And we have to begin to understand the nature of what that truly is. The Sheikh says, become like me. The Sheikh says, do what I do. Be like I am. People want to be in the Sheikh's presence because when they are in his presence, they feel the love, they feel the calmness, they feel the serenity. But they are also drawn to their imaginary life. They are also drawn to the life of illusion. And after time with the Sheikh, they go back to their illusory life. Will there come a point when we don't go back? Will there come a point when we will live in truth and accept truth as our life? Will there come a time when all of the peripherals of this world, all of the dross, all of the surplusage, all of the things that God discarded that we collect and that we hold on to, will become a burden for us? And we will realize that the only way to relieve ourselves of this burden is to let it all go. Will we come to that point, or will we go on repeating this imaginary existence over and over and over with brief interludes of true consciousness? Will we be able to do that? And if we are, when will it happen? You know, you have to understand that the path is internal, and that which is external is what's illusion. So when you are with the Sheikh and you leave his physical presence, do you still carry him within you? Have you made a place in your heart for him to reside? Do you speak to him on a regular basis? Because he is connected to reality, and he is a physical manifestation of something that is actually internalized within you. Everything exists within your heart, including the Sheikh. You fall in love with the physical manifestation and you think that's him. That's not him. Just in the same way as what you call your life is not your life. We have inappropriate perception that we call reality, when in fact it's inappropriate perception. It's not reality. It's something other than reality. And until we are internalized and we see through our heart, we do not see reality. These eyes see illusion. These ears hear illusion. This nose smells illusion. This mouth tastes illusion and speaks eloquently about illusion. It speaks eloquently about illusion because it doesn't understand reality. So it can't speak elegantly about reality. It would if it could, but is it really that interested? Or have we become satisfied with our life an illusion. If we carry the Sheikh with us, if he lives within our heart, where in fact all of the universes are, where Allah is, where everything is, do we begin to understand that the manifestation that is the Sheikh is also a reality that is the Nur, and that Nur resides within us, and that Nur knows everything. It knows everything from the beginning to the end. There's nothing that it doesn't know. It existed since the beginning, and it doesn't perish. It is a constant source of information. And since the one who gives you the truth, the one who tells the truth, is in fact a manifestation of the Nur, a small part of it, but a manifestation of it. If you can internalize that, it can be something that is always with you. And so wherever you go, the Nur travels with you. And the Sheikh travels with you. And when you're in the presence of the Sheikh, your cognition is different than when you're not in the presence of the Sheikh. When you're sitting in front of the Sheikh, there are things that you would not do that you would do if you were not in his presence. When you are in the gaze of the Sheikh, there are things that you would not do if you were not within his gaze. Likewise, if he's inside of you and you are conscious of the fact that he is inside of you and you carry him with you, you become protected by the presence of the Sheikh because he inhibits you from inappropriate action. He inhibits you from partaking in illusion. He inhibits you from going on wrong paths. He stops you from making wrong choices. The very presence does that. But you have to be cognizant of the presence. So he's there, and he's there to do what it is that he does. But your job is to be cognizant of the fact that he is with you, to be cognizant of the fact that he's protecting you, to be cognizant of the fact that he has chosen to be with you because of your unique specialness. And that applies to each one of us. Allah created man as his greatest creation, and he has given man the tools to understand the nature of truth, the nature of reality. But man has to use these tools, and man has to act out the truth. And Allah has shown us the way to act out the truth. But the world will also show you many ways that it will call the truth that are not the truth. Men will come along and say, if you stand with one arm up and one leg out and you hold that position for 8 years, you will know the truth. It's a lie, but people do it. People will tell you that through various postures, you can attain the truth. It's a lie, but people do it. People will tell you that through external exercises, you can learn reality. It's a lie, but people do it. The path is internal, and we have to internalize the path and see it from the inside. The mind has to stop being that tool that we use in order to maneuver the world. The heart has to become the place from which we maneuver the world. And to understand the nature of the heart, we have to participate in certain modes of behavior, and we have to recognize certain truths that are self-evident to those who understand the truth, but are not evident at all to those who don't understand the truth. For instance, we are all the offspring of one mother and father. We are all related. We are all one family. But the external world will tell you we are many families, and we are many religions, and we are many races, and we are many colors. And they will try to make a distinction of their self-identity and hold it above everyone else's identity. My identity is important as opposed to your identity. My religion knows the truth as opposed to your religion. Can we get over religion? Can we get over race? Can we get over caste? Can we get over language? Can we get over country? Can we get over all of these distinctions? To know truth, we have to leave the distinctions. Remember, we're internalizing this path, not externalizing. So all of the external phenomena disappear when we internalize. All of the external differences disappear when we internalize. And as long as we hold on to external differences, we can't internalize, because internally there are no differences. And to understand that, then we become different. To understand that, we begin to understand that part of what we need to do is to serve others, to assist others, to help others, to be an aid to humanity, like God is. God is constantly giving, and he doesn't take. He doesn't need to take. God's wealth is undiminishing, and he gives and gives and gives, and what he gives is never diminished. Now, if we give externally, if we give from illusion, that will be diminished. If we give from form, that will be diminished. But if we can internalize, and if we can understand what it is that cannot be diminished, and we learn how to give that, then we become true man, who is the truth of what God created. If we don't do that, we lose the title of humanity. We lose the title of true man. We lose that which God gave unto us. So, if you internalize, and if you see your brothers and sisters in the street and you give them compassion, there is no end to compassion. If you give them mercy, mercy cannot be diminished. If you give them love, love cannot be diminished. If you give them justice, justice cannot be diminished. You will never run out of mercy. You will never run out of compassion. You will never run out of justice. You will never run out of love. But if you attempt to give material things, there's a limit. So we have to learn what has a limit and what doesn't have a limit. And we have to understand that our life goes from this world that's limited to the unlimited world of light, to the unlimited world of the truth, to the unlimited world of the soul that is connected to God. And we have to make that journey. And it's an internal journey. It's not a journey that takes place on a boat or takes place on an airplane or takes place on foot. It takes place right where you are right now, because the entire universe is contained within your heart. Everything is contained within your heart. And we must prepare our hearts to give forth the appropriate produce, the appropriate vegetables, the appropriate fruits. And these appropriate things are Allah's qualities. But to do this, we have to make the heart soft in the same way that the farmer has to till the soil and prepare the soil and put fertilizer on the soil and put water on the soil and plant the seeds in the soil and then watch over the seeds and tend the seeds. We have to do the same thing with our heart. We have to prepare our heart so that our heart can become a resting place for Allah, and Allah's work can be done through our heart. We have to prepare our heart so our heart is an appropriate resting place for the Sheikh, and the Sheikh can do his work through our heart. We have to prepare our heart so our heart becomes an appropriate resting place for the Nur, so that knowledge can come forth from our heart to humanity. We are constantly praying, and we pray for things very often, and we pray for change in form that surrounds us, because we believe that in our earlier stages that the manipulation of form and changing form into what our mind perceives as an appropriate situation is what's going to make us happy, what's going to make the world better. It's not like that. What we need to do is prepare our heart so that we become true human beings, so that Allah lives within us, and then Allah can work through us in this world in a real way, so that the Sheikh can work within us in a real way. Our Sheikh once said that one of the reasons that he came to America was to keep communism out of America. And if you watched him, you would not assume that he was working on keeping communism out of America. But what he was doing is he was promulgating belief in God. That kept communism away from us. He was promulgating equality among men. That kept communism away from us. What he was doing was he was promulgating unity among men, so that the differences that are being talked about were not believed in. And that kept communism out of America. Truth has a way of bringing about reality. Reality has a way of bringing about peace. And when truth becomes self-evident and Allah's presence becomes self-evident and Allah's way becomes the way of the world, then all hunger is satisfied. Then all thirst is quenched. Then all needs are satisfied, but not through the material, not because now there all of a sudden there's an abundance of things. It's not an abundance of things that brings about your resurrection. It's an abundance of Allah within you that brings about your resurrection. So what we need is to understand, what is it that we need? What is it that we truly need? And the veils of illusion that make us believe we believe in this world have to be torn away. Once I believed in this hallucinating world and its continuous swirl, as if it could feed me through all eternity. So many lies I've now discovered, but I have not yet recovered from all the lies that I've swallowed that are hid deep inside of me. So this work to remove that which isn't real from ourselves, our unreal ideas, our unreal belief systems, all of the things that are not real have to be taken from us, so that all that is left is Allah, the Nur, and yourself. That's a lot to remove. And then yourself ends up merging into Allah and the Nur. And that's reality. Everything else is either on the path to reality or the path to hell, depending on the intention that's going on while we're acting it out. So we have to set an intention to hear the words of truth, to imbibe the words of truth, to integrate the words of truth, to make them part of who we are, and to take ourselves on the path of understanding the 3,000 gracious qualities of God and the 99 attributes, to have divinity within us, and all that is not divinity should be shed from us. This is the path. This is what La ilaha illallahu means. Nothing exists but divinity. And everything that we imagine that is other than divinity that we hold on to is holding us back from the truth. So somewhere we have to start in this belief system. And right now is the best time for that to happen. So we need to pray that Allah allows us to understand truth now, that Allah allows us to bring truth into our being now, that God makes us know what reality is now and takes us on that straight path towards Him. May that be what happens to each and every one of us. May we truly understand that, and may we truly become what Allah and the Sheikh have intended us to become. Ameen, Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.